Okay, so I promised to tell everybody how the invisible mast effect is done. Here it is. Get chrome vinyl wrap. Put that around your mast. Follow the instructions. It's not hard. Takes half an hour. And then how did I pull off this this warp effect? I'm going to tell you how I did it, and then I'm going to tell you do not do it, because it is not good. Okay, why don't do it? Because the result is something that is gets shredded into little ribbons of plastic that you have to pull out of the lake, and it's horrible, and it's polluting, and it'll probably choke sea creatures and stuff. Luckily, I figured it out right away, and but I still had to kayak around for an hour and a half pulling these little ribbons of plastic out of the water. So, do the chrome vinyl wrap if you really want that effect, and that will, at certain angles, make it look like your mast is invisible, and at other angles just makes it look really cool. But the way I pulled off this warp effect was I used one-way window film. What it does is you wrap it you put it on windows, and if the light is brighter on that side, it will be a mirror. But on the other side, it'll be transparent, or mostly transparent. I applied 4 layers of that to get this effect. And I would say a lot of what you're seeing here is the digital camera being confused at what the hell it was seeing, because it doesn't look like this in real life. In real life, it looks like it looks like a blurry chrome vinyl wrapped mast, but it's blurry. Like at certain angles, all of a sudden it will be like, oh, it's super confusing looking. But on the digital camera, from almost every angle, it feels like there's like looks like there's like a time delay on it or something. And that's a digital, that's the digital camera basically screwing up what it's seeing. I can't really explain it. I only shot it with the Insta360. It happens to be like the only camera I really bring down to the beach anymore. So I've lost too many iPhones. I pretty much have a rule now that I cannot bring iPhones near the water or I will lose it. So I just don't do it. And so I can't explain it, but I know this. I'm never going to do it again. On my very first ride, as soon as the board took off, I started hearing what sounded like cellophane, like caught in a fan. Okay, it shreds as soon as you start going into like little ribbons of like saran wrap, and it was so fast. Don't do it. Do not put this on. It's not worth it. It won't stay on your board. It's terrible, and I thought the effect would be great, but it is not designed for getting wet. The vinyl, on the other hand, worked great. So you could chrome wrap your mast and it would look really cool. And then, you know what? I will also teach you a digital effect for erasing masts that uses AI, and it is so easy to do and fast to do with modern, like if you have a modern Mac M2 or M1, like it is so fast and so easy and automatic that if you want your videos to look like Back to the Future 2, I'll show you how to do it. It's easy. It works better when you have the mast chrome wrapped than when you just have a black mast, but it'll do it with the black mast too. It's just you can use some of that reflective information when you do the AI effect. So in post, you could have an invisible mast. But I gotta say, this vinyl stuff is pretty cool. I've never used it before. I'm generally against vanity, any kind of industry that's based around vanity accessories. Like I would never wrap my car because I don't ever want anyone to say, oh, look at that. There's a guy who wants us to look at his car and think something about him. I'm not that guy. I'm serious when I say I buy Priuses that are easy to ignore. I do not feel as though anyone's car should ever be a source of status or vanity or anything. It is a tool that gets you from point A to point B. That is all it is. I'm very pragmatic about these things. Yes, I generally judge and look down on people who buy status objects, symbols, monikers, and I usually think very little of them, and I'm usually right. People who put a lot of energy into things that aren't genuine aren't worth knowing. But I do kind of feel like there's a purpose. If you wanted to wrap your, like, I have enough of this chrome wrap where I could wrap my whole board in this chrome. And I do kind of feel like this, it would protect the board's body all season long from scratches and stuff. You know, you could make it look any way you wanted to. I know that for me, I didn't really want my last board, I didn't want to buy black because I wanted a more visible board in the water, not because I wanted people to look at me, but because I want to be seen. Like, I don't want a boat to run me down because they can't see me in the water. If I fall, or if, like, let's say I fell and my board was far away from me, I don't want them to run over my board because they couldn't see it. No, I want them to see it. I want it to be bright. So, like, I chose the whiteboard, but I didn't want to buy, like, I want my boards to be different colors so we can reference them by color. Like, which one were you riding, the blue or the black? You know, I don't want to have two blue boards. So, yeah, that's why I buy different colored boards, essentially. But so I could see why you'd want to color them, and I could see how it would actually protect them. And for the most part, I don't really care about dings and stuff on my board as long as they don't affect performance. But like the bottom of my board, it has a lot of scratches on it because I put it on the dock and has sand and stuff. And I can feel the friction when my board touches the surface. Like, I can tell there's more friction there, which I can easily solve. I can sand it and I can reglass it. But if I had just coated it in vinyl, then every season I could just peel it off, put a new one on, you know, and that actually has a performance reason. Plus, you could make it like bright yellow, so boats that wouldn't, you know, would see it, would be less likely to, you know, run me over. So like there is some reasons to do it that aren't just vanity based. But like, especially when I'm at races and stuff, I would definitely like it if I could put some identifying marker on my board so it would be obvious who that is in the videos, right? When we all have only blue, black, or white boards, it's like, the guy on the white board, which one of 10 are you talking about? You know, it would be really nice if like, just even for that kind of thing, we could put some stripes or something on our boards so that we could better differentiate them from each other by their board. Another thing is, like, so you kind of have a tendency to reference people by like their wetsuit. You know, that guy that was in the wetsuit with the pink stripe or whatever. And that's not as helpful when you're trying to figure out what boards make a difference. It's like, it's almost like you need to identify the board and the rider, you know, so that you can have a decent conversation about it. So I could see an advantage there, I guess. But yeah, so try it. It wasn't a punk. Like, I can do digital effects that would erase the mask, sure. I really wanted to make something that, like, kind of freaked people out when they saw it. Like I wanted to ride by people and have them go, holy crap, what's that thing? You know, I did want to do that. I won't deny it. Not I don't know, not for the sake of vanity, but for the sake of, like, it is kind of fun to let people's minds and imaginations go beyond what reality allows. I mean, that's why science fiction is so great, books and movies and everything, is to allow yourself, like, the suspension of disbelief, like, hey, is that possible? I remember seeing Back to the Future 2, and in the director's, like, in one of the director's featurettes they made about it, someone made a joke that these things were, that those hoverboards were actually invented, but that some parental safety board kept them from being sold by Mattel. And it was enough, that was like this joke, but like, when I remember seeing it as a kid going, they're real. And I believed for like the longest time that they were real. And I was like, oh my God, they're real. And you know what? Even though I was wrong, they're not real. It was just a visual effect. I actually appreciate that for a few years there, I believed that technology was real because it allowed my imagination to go places that it wouldn't have otherwise, right? Like, I think that it's not a lie to, you know, David Copperfield isn't a liar. He's actually really honest. He does illusions, and they're impressive. You know, they make imaginations run wild. And you can replace David Copperfield with, just about any of those street magicians or whatever. But like, I like that because like illusion's cool. Illusion isn't a lie. It's a genuine expression of what if. Imagine if. Imagine if this was possible. What would it be like? What would it be like if we had like repulsor technology? If we had speeder bikes? You know, like that is so, it's so inspiring to see something and say, what if? What would that be like? Wouldn't that be cool? I think that's why I did this effect. I wanted to have people say, what if? That's really it. That's all I wanted to do. And since the eFoil is just so easy, since there's only like, there's like 2 inches of product between you and the wing and the water, like just the littlest amount of space. It's so easy to erase it and get people to say what if. So I don't know, it's a neat effect. I eventually removed it from my mast. And I removed it from my mast because when I was racing at high speeds, even that little tiny, like less than a millimeter or whatever it is, thick foil, I could feel it messing me up. And I was falling, going through the course, a course that I almost never fall on. Once I get that board close to 30 miles an hour, that is too much extra on the mast. And I was wiping out and I lost control, so I eventually took it off my mast because it was affecting for performance. Do I think it'll affect your performance at slower speeds? Nope, I don't. I don't think you'll even notice it. I think that if you're going less than 20 miles an hour, which most of you are, it sounds like, you won't even feel it. It won't even play a role of any kind in your performance of your board. So that's pretty neat. And you know another thing? I'm going to say like, hey, foil wrapping your mast is probably smart because any little scratch on there at high speeds will affect its performance. So protecting it is valuable. I think that if Lyft or Flight or any of the board manufacturers saw that and they thought it was cool, they could so easily paint their masts or their boards in chrome before they put the glass on, and it would be as good and have no effect on performance. So that's just my opinion. I could be totally wrong. Maybe that would add like a gram or something to the board and throw it off. I have no idea. I don't think that it would. But till then, I think that we should all consider wrapping our boards. Like if you want to protect them and you want a different colored board, or you want a brighter board because you want to be more visible on the water, like you could put little stickers on it that'll probably wash off that are reflective. Or if your favorite colors, mine happens to be yellow, or I would love to see like a metallic bronze board. I think that would look just so cool. I think you could wrap it yourself. It's not that hard to do. Or you could take it to a professional, like one of the car wrappers, vinyl wrapped car places, and I would guess that they could do it for a couple $100. Like it's not that expensive to do on a whole car. So I would think something this small. This would probably cost you less than $50 to buy the materials and do it yourself, and even making a lot of mistakes.